Hey, hello. I am Jaime Elizondo from Real World Ranching, and my goal is to help you achieve maximum profitability while improving your land the fastest. Today, I want to talk about why we need to bring back perennial grasses and palatable brush in low rainfall environments. Low and erratic rainfall environments have lost many of their best forest species by overgrazing. As we know, overgrazing happens when you return to regraze too soon before the plant has fully recovered. And this happens when we allow our livestock to do selective grazing. Eventually, the best species, which were perennials, are replaced by annuals and invasive shrub species as the land degrades or desertifies in low and erratic rainfall environments. Today, I want to emphasize why is it so important to bring back perennial grasses and palatable shrubs in low rainfall environments. Annual and lower quality grasses, along with invasive non-palatable brush with thorns, will take the place of the dead and dying better perennial grasses and palatable shrubs when these are weakened by our livestock grazing them preferentially. Once they become extinct, both livestock and wildlife suffer, and eventually the land suffers. And of course, your pocket will suffer. Whenever selective grazing is allowed in a dry environment with erratic rainfall, the environment starts to degrade. But I want to say something that we have observed. Whenever livestock is excluded from an environment like the aforementioned, the land degrades faster than with livestock, even under continuous selective grazing. What does this mean? Well, what I always say, as the cow needs the grass needs the cow. Animal impact is essential for the ecosystem to function, but management of our livestock needs to be changed to bring back our best perennial species, which require better soils and growing conditions. And this I have observed in high desert areas where an area was excluded from livestock for close to 30 years to try to improve it, and the surrounding area still had livestock doing continuous grazing. Donkeys, horses, sheep, goats, cows, and wildlife. The enclosed area was in much poorer condition than outside after 30 years of that treatment. Why is this? Well, perennial grasses maintain their roots alive in the long periods without good growing conditions in such environments, which can be 9 months out of the year or even to 12 months out of the year. Palatable brush does the same. Live roots are necessary to maintain soil microorganisms alive and functioning. Soil microorganisms are essential to produce new humus, which is our soil real fertility. Selective grazing, be it continuous or rotational, at the high stocking rates required for productivity, will ensure that your best species become extinct in a low and erratic rainfall environment. Perennial grasses and palatable shrubs are seeked out by your livestock, especially in a drought or in the winter, when everything else is brown and without good nutrition. This means they will be grazed preferentially most of the year, and this weakens their roots and eventually kills them. When, for example, in the winter, your livestock and wildlife are looking for something green and palatable, and the only green plants are your best perennial grasses and palatable shrubs, they will graze and regraze them until they are wiped out. This I have seen repeatedly in such environments, even under rotational grazing. The best species are absent or in very low percentages of the total when we start to regenerate ranches in those types of environments. On a 16-inch rainfall, annual rainfall, high altitude environment on a very large ranch, we started with 18 months of rest to allow the best species to subsequent rainy seasons back to back on a percentage of the property. Why? So that young seedlings have the time to establish before the cows come back to grazing. Sometimes in those environments, the seedlings are only 2 to 4 inches tall by the time first frost happens. And if livestock comes back in the winter, they will pull them out, the seedlings, of the ground along with the roots, effectively killing them. By allowing a longer rest period, they have the chance to establish themselves in the next rainy season of the following year. Of course, we also need profits. So we apply the total grazing program principles, adjusting for the environment, and double the stocking rate the first year compared to the rotational grazing they had been doing for close to 20 years. While we still give an 18-month-long rest. So what results did we get? The second year, we started observing a substantial increase in perennial desirable species along with an increase in palatable shrubs. By the fifth year, the ranch was totally unrecognizable. They also started to infuse adapted genetics and correct selection guidelines in their bulls to be able to maintain good body condition and animal performance in their cows under this more demanding type of grazing. Eventually, they also adjusted their calving season a little to maximize the forage conversion efficiency. I mean the total forage production in the whole ranch and the efficiency of it being converted into pounds of weaned calves. Now, they are selling adapted genetics which outperform others in many different environments. They are recognized now. And friends, this is the way to improve your land, your capital, and your profits while creating harmony in your life. Conclusion and recap. Number one, in low and erratic rainfall environments, your best grasses and palatable shrubs are substituted by invasive and lower quality forages when grazing is selected, be it rotational or continuous, doesn't matter. The same happens when you use a high enough stocking rate to make a profit. 2, perennial desirable grasses and palatable brush are the only forages with higher quality in the long, non-growing part of the year in those environments, and is why they are so important in regenerating the land and increasing your stocking rate. 3, they are also the only forages with a green living root for the whole year, and living roots are essential to maintain soil microorganisms alive. 4, very long rest periods are an absolute requirement in those environments, and their best forage species and palatable shrubs. Around 18-month rest in 12 to 18-inch rainfall environments, and up to 24 months of rest in lower rainfall environments, 4 to 10, especially in high-altitude desert environments. 5, grazing needs to be high harvest efficiency and preferably under the total grazing program using the adapted genetics with selection guidelines online course. 6, results will be nothing short of spectacular if these principles are applied correctly. Well, I hope you like this podcast and you can put it into practice. Thank you for listening and see you next time. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube, or join us for the weekly email at www.rwranching.com/join. Have a great day.